We all know that SMGs are the best weapon in the game at the moment. We feel it when we pull the trigger, we feel it in our bones. But just how good are they and why are they so good? Understanding this will allow you to push even more actual DPS out of this weapon. So stick around while I tell you everything I know about how to properly mod and build for these overpowered weapons before they get nerfed. Guys, it's Skill Up here. Hello and welcome back to another The Division video. In this video, we're going to be talking about SMGs and how they have come to dominate the current meta and how you can be making the most out of this, because believe me, they're going to get nerfed very soon, so you should try and enjoy it while it lasts. Understanding the math behind SMGs is fairly complex, but doing so is going to have a really big impact on the way that you play and mod your SMG, so it is worth digging into that level of detail to get that understanding. Guys, I'm getting some really amazing feedback from people who are enjoying my other Division DPS and weapon mechanic videos, so thank you so much for that. I've just hit over 4,500 subscribers, which is really a number I never could have dreamed of when I first started this channel back in January. Thank you so much for the support, and if you're new to the channel and you like what you see, then don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. So let's talk SMGs. So the starting point for understanding of SMG power is to understand their passive bonus and comparing that to that of other weapons. So which bonuses do different weapons get? So first up, assault rifles don't actually get any passive bonus. They just are what they are. That's it. Assault rifles are assault rifles. LMGs have two principal benefits. The first is that they actually become more accurate the longer you fire, and the second is that they have really large magazines, making it very easy to suppress targets. Shotguns, similar to assault rifles, don't have any passive bonus. They're just shotguns and are, in their current form, really not a very usable weapon. There's plenty to say on that, but I'll save it for later, and I'm actually not going to be discussing shotguns further throughout the course of this video. Marksman rifles gain a gigantic amount of bonus headshot damage, generally in the vicinity of about 120% at least, and can of course increase this further, and it's not uncommon to see bonus headshot damage in the area of about 270%, which is currently what I'm using on my M1. Finally, SMGs. So SMGs get the base crit chance baked into them, typically in the area of around 20%, and there aren't any conditions for this. It's just straight up free 20% crit. Now, like all good game design, power comes with a trade-off, and so it is in the case of SMGs. The intent is that SMGs have significantly reduced range versus their natural counterpart, which is the assault rifle. So the big difference between the two is in their range potential, where the assault rifle generally has at least double or triple the effective range versus an SMG. So clearly the developers are saying here, you can't have your crit and eat it too. So you have to choose, do you want to get up close and those high risk encounters by being up close and have more crit, or do you want to sort of operate at longer range and potentially be safer but have less crit? So the problem with SMGs really begins right here, because I can actually really easily mod my SMG with more optimal range to bring it to a fairly respectable optimum range that's quite functional for what you're going to do in most content, which really renders this part of the trade-off pretty mute. Whereas there's really no way in hell I can mod my assault rifle to get anywhere near the crit chance that my SMG has, since it's always starting a solid 20% behind what the SMG gets for free. So it's this imbalance that is one part of the equation when we talk about why SMGs are so strong at the moment. So this problem is further compounded by the fact that SMGs are just disgracefully stable and accurate. I mean, if you are putting any accuracy, stability, horizontal stability, or hipfire accuracy on your SMG, you are absolutely wasting stats. SMGs simply do not need it, given how close you are to the target when you are using them, and how small the reticle is, and how little the reticle grows over time, and how little recoil the weapon suffers from in general. I mean, really, you can actually just pile all of these mod slots directly into DPS stats, whereas with the assault rifles and LMGs, you absolutely need to invest in the stability of your weapon if you're going to make it viable for its intended range. So this in itself is already a really big problem. The final part of the SMG power equation is the stacking nature of crit and bonus headshot damage. Now, I've said this before and I will continue to say it before it eventually and inevitably gets nerfed. Allowing me to crit on headshots is just bad design. From a pure math perspective, it's just bad and it completely skews the power curve of weapons in the game. And the only way to really demonstrate that is through good old-fashioned math. So let's do that now. So what I did was I modeled actual in-game DPS using divisiondps.com and I compared the results. Now, with all of the weapons that I'm using here, I've modded them with their optimal mods. And when I say optimal, I mean I prioritize certain stats for certain weapons based on, the way you're going to use those weapons and what I believe are the optimal mods for those. So broadly speaking, I went with LMGs having weapon damage, mag size, initial bullet stability, and stability. Assault rifles having rate of fire, mag size, stability, and horizontal stability. Marksman rifles having headshot damage, crit chance, crit hit damage, accuracy, and weapon damage. And SMGs having crit hit chance, crit hit damage, headshot damage, magazine size, and rate of fire. So I've actually excluded shotguns from this analysis, as I've said before, so I'm not going to come back to that topic now. But as you can see, all of these weapons, they were actually all high-end weapons with very decent damage rolls, and none of the talents were particularly stand out in the way that would greatly skew the results. So for this, I actually went with a tactical M249 Para. I used a Caduceus for the assault rifle. I used an M1A for the marksman rifle, and I used the good old favorite Vector 45 ACP SMG, because that's end game at this point. So for each test, I calculated the value of the one is none talent as well, so that I was able to see the impact of additional rounds per magazine, and you can also check that out for yourself in the video that I've linked in the description below. So finally, and this is a very important point, I actually calculated headshot chance at 50% for every weapon type. Now this is drastically sort of underestimating what I actually do with my SMG, because I can tell you I'm getting well and truly more than 50% of my damage is all headshots, or of my bullets are headshots, because I'm always very close when I'm using it. But across all weapon types, I felt that this was a fairly fair baseline, since assault rifles and LMGs generally have a much harder time landing consistent headshots when used at their intended range. And marksman rifles, well, your mileage can vary a lot based upon your personal skill and the encounter and a whole range of things. So what did I find? So long story short, the SMG just completely crushes LMGs and assault rifles, even at this reduced headshot chance. But it isn't as strong as a decent marksman rifle, because marksman rifles are just plain OP broken right now, and that's a topic for another video. So where is all this damage coming from? Well, in addition to Division DPS, I also maintain a DPS calculation spreadsheet, which again you'll find in the description below, and it allows you to see round by round how much damage you are doing over the course of a magazine. And by utilizing that, I was able to determine that at a 50% headshot chance, some 35% of my vector's total damage was coming from critical headshots. And this is in comparison to 9% for the LMG, 9% for the marksman rifle, and 9% for the Caduceus. All of these other weapons had similar crit chance, and the LMG and the assault rifle both had similar bonus headshot damage. The marksman rifle, of course, had a hell of a lot more. So if we talk about burst damage, the numbers become even more alarming. The SMG did a total of 320k crit headshot damage over 2.94 seconds, whereas the LMG did only 235 crit headshot damage over 27 seconds. So that's less total crit headshot damage delivered some 9 times slower than the SMG is capable of doing. To further demonstrate this point one last time, if I had a well-rolled assault rifle and a well-rolled SMG, and I modded them both properly, and then went down into the target range and I landed 100% of my headshots into the target dummy, my vector would do 375k DPS before having to reload, whereas my Caduceus would do 250k DPS before having to reload. So that's a difference of 125k DPS. I know which one I'd want, and I'm sure you know which one you'd want too. So just to sum all of this up and so that it's super clear, SMGs are just too strong at the moment because 1, There's simply no reason to use an assault rifle or an LMG at range. Marksman rifles are just way better. So that's number one. Number two, up close, I want to drop my target really fast, which means I care about rate of fire, meaning that we can already completely forget about LMGs because their rate of fire is simply too slow. Thirdly, assault rifles have the same base damage as an SMG, but they don't have the free crit chance. So SMGs are just already a better option up close. Finally, and most importantly, up close encounters are all about headshots, and the fact that headshots can crit makes the base crit chance on your SMG utterly invaluable. So what does this mean for you? Well, it means a few things. Firstly, use an SMG. Straight up, pound for pound, they are the best and nothing can beat them. I mean, I know your DPS sheet may say otherwise, but trust me, you are going to do more damage with your Vector than with an assault rifle or with an LMG. And if you don't believe me, then check out divisiondps.com and see for yourself. Number two, put a little optimal range on your SMG. You can actually buy the CQB scope from the Phoenix vendor in your base of operations. Buy this and whack it on your SMG, as it's going to give you a decent amount of extra bonus optimal range, which makes the weapon a lot more usable in general terms. Number three, get up close and personal when you're using your SMG. So if you're at range, use your marksman rifle. And if you're outside your SMG's optimal range, make sure you close that gap. Don't try and shoot from no man's land. You're going to lose too much damage. Just make sure you take cover when you do that to keep yourself nice and safe. Number four, as for mods, prioritize crit damage, crit chance, but be sure not to stack too much crit, as crit actually caps out at 60%, and then things like your pulse crit bonus is wasted, and that's a very common trap that I'm seeing people fall into right now. So just watch out for that one. And that's really it. That's why SMGs are so broken. It's a neat little sort of cocktail of bad math, how easy it is to land headshots at close range, and the benefit of a free 20 to 25% crit just for equipping the weapon. So given everything that I've discussed above, I'm almost certain that SMGs will be nerfed soon. In my humble opinion, the free bonus crit chance should just be removed altogether or greatly reduced. The weapon is already working really well at close range given its incredible stability and accuracy, and it really doesn't need another sweetener, and it's really just pushing assault rifles, LMGs and shotguns completely out of the picture. So we'll see how that goes in the upcoming patch, which should be actually, funnily enough, be out sometime this week. So guys, that's it from me. I really hope you enjoyed this video. As I said earlier, Division DPS and weapon mechanics is kind of my thing. It's the content that I love to create. So if you like that stuff too, then be sure to subscribe so we can keep figuring this stuff out together. If you like this video, then be sure to drop a like, as it does help me out in a really big way. And with that, I'll leave you to it. Take good care of yourself, and I'll see you in the Dark Zone. Bye-bye.